I have a long report. I haven't been here in a long
It's
time.
tight.
I even have my notes. So I think last time when I came was 3 weeks ago, and I had begun a new chapter with my students, and it's a chapter that has to do with death. So we started talking about emotions and the emotional scale, and so later on I added a little bit of judging, like not being judgmental with our thoughts and our feelings, and that explaining it, referring all back to the the emotional scale, and this is the Spanish version of it. So we did an exercise that I had the students look at think of a situation, an event, a problem, or something, and that was hard for them, and then start looking at how they felt, naming, the feelings, and then being able to categorize, okay, so I'm in this feeling, right? And sometimes when we are in a specific stage, then we're really hard on ourselves for not being able to come out of that stage, or for staying, I don't know, if it is, if we're mad, then we stay mad for a long time, and then we kind of like attract all these other thoughts and feelings that are very close to that stage. And so the idea with the activity was helping them out connect those feelings with other positive things, and perhaps going up in the scale of emotions, and at the same time, understanding that it is okay if you come up 2 or 3 levels, but if you are not entirely happy, right? You can be happy the entire time. So it had to do with that, and it was interesting. So I was able to link one of the weeks, the holes, the poem of the holes, and I translated it to Spanish. So they had already read it, right? But it was like the Spanish version of it, and I wrote translated by Professor, right? So they knew the poem. We talked about, so like we keep falling in the hole, and like what are other ways of perhaps looking at the situation differently, right? And then going back to the scale. So it's been like a 3-week process, right? And we don't do it every day. It's like once a week, right? And then we go back to it. We at some point we touch base with the reptilian brain, and how we, let's say we go back to that moment that they describe, and how, you feel like, I can't handle this, I'm just gonna, flight, right?
Right.
Or maybe I'm really mad at you and I'm just gonna jump at you, right? And so how to, help out with that by using mindfulness and breathing, and then one of those weeks we did, and I know you said breathing techniques are not part of mindfulness, but we did some breathing techniques that might help them relax. And so I found 5, and there was a video, and it was in Spanish, and it worked out really well. Always trying to link that with, like, when you are having a situation, just pause, right? Pause, take a deep breath. Maybe, try to put your mind at ease with other things too, right? I think it worked well. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm in the right direction, but there were a couple of things. There was a student specifically that raised kind of like some concerns of how he's feeling, and I know he's already being seen by a counselor, maybe here at school, but it was him opening up to the class and saying, like, oh, I used to be anorexic, and I hated myself, and my mother doesn't love me, and all these things that are really hard. And it was like, whoa, like, I don't know how to like make you fully feel better, but I appreciate that you are opening up to a class that, might be judgmental. And so I use all of that to like say, hey, remember that, we're not judging anyone, and we're not, but it's always hard. Like, it's one of the ground shaking moments again that I wasn't expecting anyone to say, I hate myself, or I hated myself, and I was anorexic, you can say something nice to me and I always take it badly, right? And
Right.
it was also why I like the fact that I know that about him now, right? And like I think of him every single day, and it's just, I don't know, I'm making this extra effort to like knowing how he's doing, right? And I don't think he would have said that without this.
Right.
So
I think there's a couple, like, just kind of refinements. I mean, overall, it sounds awesome. And there is this weird, it seems like they're opposites, but they're not really. So, and because our tendency just as human beings is we want to make people feel better, I think that's just life, unless you're like a psychopath or something. But like, I think I tend to emphasize like it's okay to feel exactly how you feel, and at the same time there are choices. Like, can you just, like, choice is, can you just notice your thoughts and know that you don't have to believe them? Can you notice your feelings without getting completely wrapped up in them? And, you know, even those are small choices. I think it's a little tricky when we start talking about like moving up or moving down, because there's the implication that one is still better than the other, and mindfulness is still about just being with what is. And the other thing is to know, obviously you created a safe enough space, and he's done enough of his own work to feel safe to say what he said. And he was really doing, he was doing mindfulness out loud, like saying, when you give me a compliment, I don't let it in. That's a huge level of self-awareness. And it's, you know, if you were gonna go further with that with the class, you might talk about all those places where we have unkind mind. Like, you might go way back to that we did, you know, weeks or months ago. And the other thing is, you know, the blessing of doing this here as opposed to somewhere else is like, Amy's here, you have your support staff, he is getting support. But say next year someone decides to move somewhere and you're gonna do this somewhere else, then before you start, you wanna make a good connection with the counselor at the school. You wanna make probably a good connection with a couple counselors outside of school, and preferably ones that are mindfulness based and aren't gonna come in where you're, again, teaching being with and they're gonna like try and fix them, so it's not too confusing. And, you know, honestly, to know, or at least know who to ask, like, if you need a psychiatrist. Because what if he was on the front end of his illness instead of in the middle or towards the back end? Like, and he was really struggling. You'd want to know where your backup is, just so that you feel secure. And your job in that, whatever, 45 minutes that he's with you, is to hold the space for him and then make sure that he has the support he needs, and fortunately, he already does. But, you know, I think it's great that he feels safe. I think it's great that you made the space for that. I think it's great that his peers got to see like really how vulnerable they can be, and that they're not the only one, whatever, thinking they're a loser and life is terrible and believing their negative thoughts, and, you know, because he's not the only one in the room. We know that. And so, you know, I think it's really awesome that they have the space for that. And you, you know, you created that kind of independently, because you really you haven't been here for 3 weeks and we were doing something else anyways. I also wanted to say it just seems to be like being with feelings day, because I have an online class, and normally it's Tuesday afternoons, but I have people literally from all around the world in my class. So the people in Europe can't come on Tuesday afternoons onto the online class because it's like 4 in the morning. Flaggers, I know, I'll tell them you said so. I'm actually surprised when one shows up. It's like, why are you not, I would be in bed, why are you not in bed? But like they often will, if they're gonna show up for anyone, I say come to the first one where you get to introduce yourself, and so they will kind of step up and come to the first one, then I say, don't come to anymore unless you really, really want to. Or you, I don't know, work the night shift or something. But today, one of the people, and I'll send you both poems, but one of the people combined this poem by Rumi called The Guest House